story. I know.
Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta Adonai Elohecha, b'kol levavecha, u'b'kol nafshecha, u'b'kol modecha, v'ahavta re'acha kamocha. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength. And love your neighbor as yourself.
Sorry.
So much work. All right, tonight we're going to talk about the Shema. Talk about the Shema. The papers I gave you are for you to take home and read this week. They'll coincide with your homework. In particular, why does the sea represent evil and chaos? I think that you'll want that your first day. They want your homework. God gave me something else He wants us to talk about tonight, and so I wanted to give you the information you needed for the homework. But I didn't want to have to teach on it. And then the Talmud is also something for you to read. It just reinforces what we're talking about, and it's from a book called Listening to the Language of the Bible. So I'm trying to give you different resources so that you see the validity of what's being said in here. It doesn't just come from me, or doesn't just come from Amy's and my church of Israel. That there's multiple resources that say the same thing, right? And also, just to keep going over it helps us settle it into our spirits and our souls and really grasp it. So those are for you guys to take home.
And how cool was it that Pastor Connie was talking about it?
Oh my goodness.
On Sunday. How many different points was he talking about? We just talked about that. We just talked about that.
I pulled that Shema out and reading it while he was reading the verses. So
Yeah.
hi. I did too.
Very good. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the Shema. I was doing a little bit of studying and looking at some of the words, and I wanted you guys to understand, I wanted all of us to understand the Shema better. So, V'ahavta, when it says, V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, okay? Third line down. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha. V'ahavta means, literally, and you shall love. And you shall love. So it says, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God. I don't know about you guys, but that has a different definitiveness to it. It isn't just, in our day and age, we love our coffee.
We love everything.
We love our pizza. We love our TV show. We love this book. Right?
I love that outfit.
We love that outfit, right? Yeah, we love our shoes. I love my car. I mean, come on. We love so many things. So when we also say, love the Lord your God, that is just like, oh, well, love the Lord your God, love your coffee, love your hairdo, love your makeup, But when it says, and you shall love.
It's a commandment.
It's a command. It is not optional. It is not optional. And then we have V'ahavta again at the bottom. V'ahavta re'acha kamocha. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Again, another command, not optional. And we, in our Western mindset, think love is optional. And God's saying, not optional. And you shall love. You shall do this. Levika. Levika. If you look in here, L-E-V, or sometimes it's L-E-B, Leib, Lev, is the Hebrew word for heart, mind, inner person, what makes up a person. And so this is the word for mind or thought. And again, we see when we say love, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, what do we think in our Western way of thinking? What does that mean to us?
It's like another way of saying heart, of feeling, of emotion.
Feeling, emotion.
Not insight and thought.
Right. Yeah. Feeling, emotion, what else? Like what comes with our feelings, our emotions?
Well, they're up and down.
They're up and down.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like a warm, tingly, the warm fuzzies, right? The tinglies, how do you have warm fuzzies about God? I mean, let's just be real, guys.
I have warm fuzzies about God.
Sure. How long have you walked with God?
Almost 20 years.
Do you think in the first year or two you're going to have a lot of warm fuzzies about God necessarily? And can you manufacture them? Can you be commanded to have warm fuzzies about God?
No.
No. Because I have warm fuzzies about God too. It's not that I don't. But my warm fuzzies, any kind of emotion is a reaction to something, right? Typically, it's a reaction to his love for me. It's a reaction to some way he's cared for me. It's a reaction to some way he's given me peace. It's a reaction. Our warm fuzzies are reactions. Our emotions are reactions to things that happen around us, right? Or to us. How can we be commanded to have an emotional reaction to something? Does that make sense? We can't.
It's like, in a way, it's kind of like arranged marriages. You can't, they're arranged, and most of them do eventually fall in love with each other, but it's generally not at first. Like, you can't tell someone, well, you have to love this other person.
Not that kind of love, right?
You just can't. It doesn't work.
You have to be in love with them. You can love them because it's the love of the choice, the love of the will, right? You can agape them, but you can't eros. You can't be commanded to eros them, right? To have romantic love for them. You can't. And so it's the same here. God doesn't say, and you shall love me with your emotions. He says, and you shall love me with your mind. And you shall love me with your mind. How do we love him with our minds? What does that look like?
Well, you interact with him. You know, you get to know him, I guess.
Well, again, it's a choice.
Yeah.
A mind saying, this is what I want to do, this is what
I think purposing with your
Yeah.
mind. That's what I think I want to hear it. A purpose.
Yeah, a determination, right? Would it look like setting your mind on him? Would it look like choosing to think about him throughout the day?
Yeah.
Would
Reading
it,
his word, letting
Yeah.
him talk to you.
yes, that's a
It's
good
the
one.
choosing, the putting him first over things, not just setting your mind. It's like making a purpose to make him first or to, just, you think about God in different ways when you go through your day. But just really, when I think about him, I want to think about what's happening right now that brought him to mind, and then relish that thought in my mind and think over it, not just, well, thanks God, and go on about whatever I'm doing, or that was nice, God. Just really spend time with him then, in your mind, in your thoughts.
Yeah, that would be loving him in your mind, right?
Well, and sometimes it's not always thank you, God, because sometimes you think of him because you know you've just sinned, so you have to admit that and confess that, but that's still loving him by acknowledging that you messed up again, like you did 10 minutes ago, and
Yeah, absolutely. Nafsheka. Love the Lord your God. And this is love the Lord your God with all your soul. Nafsheka. Soul, means life and soul. Life and soul. Love the Lord your God with all your life and soul. I'm going to focus on the life part, because soul is one of those things that's just, it's hard for us to grasp, but it is. It's kind of ethereal, right? And you shall love the Lord your God with all your life. All your life. With your life choices. With where your life goes. With committing what you're going to do with your day to him. With choosing to do what he wants with your day rather than you. Choosing to surrender to his will for you rather than your own. Life. Love him with all your life. Doesn't that bring a little more grounding than love him with all your soul? To me, love him with all my heart, love him with all my soul, that all is still vague and all feely and but if I say love him with all my mind and love him with all my life, I can get my hands around those. Right? And that can even kind of make me a little squirmy and a little convicted. Right? Doesn't it? It should. It did me. Oof. That meets me where I'm at. That's something I can actually do. I mean, I want to, but I can do it. Right?
I wonder if it could also mean all your life long.
Yes.
You know,
That's a good
with your life here now, but all your life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Absolutely, Cindy. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. All your life.
Like being a living sacrifice, being on his altar, and not choosing your own way, but choosing his way.
Yeah. Modeka. Muchness. Very muchness. Oomph. You'll never know which one I like best. Right? Oomph. That's right. Yeah. It literally means very or muchness. Love the Lord your God with your very or your muchness. Didn't really make a lot of sense, but to me, oomph did. I love him with all your oomph. You know, what is oomph? It's your determination, right?
Yeah.
It's what makes you get up early in the morning. It's what makes you go another lap at the gym. It's that, I'm just gonna do it, right? It's what makes you choose something else over yourself. Oomph. How great is that? Love him with all your oomph. Do we do that? Do we love him with all our determination? With all of everything we've got, just put it in there. Just,
I was thinking, like, how do you get the oomph? You know, because, like, that's I don't know, that's a legit question. Like, how do we get that? Because some people are more naturally, I think, like, if I was going to go run, like, when we used to run, okay, Tanya and I, like, she would just push the heck out of me. And I was like, girl, you're on a whole other level. Like, I'm just trying to go for a jog. Remember the the day it was like her birthday, we went for a run, and I tripped and fell. Like, you guys are like, it's like 12 degrees on her birthday, like, running at the trails. I'm like, why are we doing this? But my motivation was it was her birthday, so it seemed like the value outweighed the cost. But just thinking about like what gets the oomph. I think spiritually speaking, like there's something about that day that we're gonna meet the Lord, you know, and that when we're gonna have like the marriage feast, right? The bride's gonna meet the groom, and we're gonna see him face to face, and like for me, I think that's a big part of it. Like because to love God 100% every day, I just can't do it. I'm gonna fail, right? Pastor Connie talked about that, but what's that oomph to really make me want to love him more today, even though I feel like I'm always failing at it, like it's really hard to do well, is like in the end, like I really want him to see me and be like, well done, like girl, big girl, I love you. You've always known that, but to get that, like, it was worth, like, that I look more like him than I would have if I didn't let the oomph, happen. So, like, I don't know what it is for everyone else, but just thinking for myself, like that, even like a marathon. I remember running a half marathon in Virginia, and I'm not a runner. Like, I'm an athlete, but I'm not a runner. There's a difference. I'm a softball player. And so I remember, though, I'm thinking, why on earth would I want to run 13.1 miles? Crazy talk. But my friend Julia wanted to run. And I'm like, it is worth it to do a road trip in Virginia with Julia and do 13.1 miles. But what kept me, like, even that first mile or the second, mile 10 was like, totally hit a wall. I think a lot of people do that, kind of somewhere in there. And, but all I could think about was the finish line, right? If you've ever run a race like that or even a 5K, like, the finish line is what really kind of gets you motivated. Like, I've got this far to go. And so anyway.
And for everyone, it's
Yeah.
for everyone it's different.
Yeah.
What I heard in everything Amy said was she could make herself determine something because of the relationship, right?
Yes.
Everything she said was all about relationship. She could run with Tammy on her birthday because of the relationship with Tammy.
And
She
her
could-
girlfriend Julie.
She could run the 13.1 because of the relationship, and she can be determined with Christ because of the relationship. She wants him to say, well done, good job, right? For me, I just love, I love pushing it out, I love pumping it out, I love the goals, I love the accomplishments. I love seeing how much more I can do or how much further, or that's just, to me, oomph is like, oh, good, I get to, I get to give it my all. So everyone's different, but what is it for you? What motivates you?
Because there's a big difference between choosing to do it and doing it well. So I could choose to serve him in some capacity and do a crappy job.
Right.
Or I can say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability.
With all my oomph.
Right, with all my oomph. And we
Yes.
seldom do that.
Right.
It's like, it's more like, okay, I'm going to do it. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. I mean, and we just, with the wrong attitude. I shouldn't speak for you guys.
Yeah, that's not doing it with your
Just me
emotions.
sometimes.
Yeah, with your own. Yeah. And he wants that from us. He really does. Absolutely. The last one, Kamoka. Who is like yourself? And love your neighbor. Who is like yourself? It doesn't just mean love your neighbor like yourself. It isn't love your neighbor like you love yourself. It can be that, but really the best translation is who is like yourself. Love your neighbor who is like yourself. So, how about if we say, love your neighbor who is a sinner like yourself? Ooh, how does that change it up? Because if we're remembering that our neighbor is a sinner, just like we're sinners, does that help us love any better? Sure it does. Does that help us show them grace? Oh, you better believe it. You better believe it. That's a game changer, right? Love your neighbor who is a sinner like yourself. That makes it feel more doable. And it puts it in the correct perspective. So this week, as you're doing the Shema, I would love to encourage you to change it up. I've been changing it up all week, ever since I studied this. I've been changing it up. I've been saying, and love the Lord your God with all your mind, and with all your life, and with all your oomph. And love your neighbor who is a sinner like yourself. I'd love to see, how does that change it up for you? What does that do for you this week? And when we come 2 weeks from today, I would love for us to change it up and do it this way.
Do you have what Reaka means?
I don't.
Okay.
I looked it up. I just think it's your neighbor.
Oh, okay.
I think it's neighbor. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
There wasn't nothing to expound on that one.
Do you want us to do the "and you shall love your Lord" and "you shall love your neighbor," like instead of just
I
love?
think we should, don't you? Do you think so?
Oh, yeah.
And you shall love.
Oh, I'm sorry. I like that last part, like that. I've never seen it that way before in my life, and sometimes I personally have struggled with because I know we're all selfish at the heart of things, but when we've said love your neighbor like you love yourself, well, of course you love yourself. You know how to love yourself, and I think I know a lot of people who really don't love themselves
Yeah, I
very
do
much,
too.
so it's that doesn't really correlate real well with everyone. But that makes a lot more sense, because the more we recognize really how much of a sinner I am in relation to God, and how much grace, right, I receive from the Lord, it's it really does allow us to see other people differently. Well, of course, how could I not extend grace? Because He's given me so much grace.
Yeah.
So not to say I like it just because it feels good, but I do like it because it makes a lot more sense
It does.
than the other translation. So.
And some
It's-
people could go and love your neighbor as yourself. You could go, oh well, I'm loving my neighbor, and you could be more puffed up that way. And I think this way, love your neighbor who is like you, who's just like you. You're on the same level. You're not up here loving your neighbor like a goody two shoes. You're on the same level. And for me, it's humbling. But just trying to go on.
I had thought of something when love your neighbor as yourself, but also, love your neighbor as he would want to be loved. Because some people, it's just like the language of the love languages. I mean, I may want to be loved in a certain way, but somebody else, like my husband, might want to be loved in a different way, and I need to be aware of that. So a long time ago, I kind of changed that in my mind.
Yeah. No, that's a great way to look at it too. It's a very good way, Jimmy. Very good. So, in your time with God, I just called it 30 minutes, right? In your 30 minutes a day, is your 30 minutes a day so alive that it carries into your day, that it carries into your life? Is it so alive that it carries into your day, it carries into your life? Your 15 minutes, your 30 minutes, your 45 minutes, your hour, however long it is that you hang with God every day. Is it so alive that it carries into your day? And what if it was so alive that it carried into your life?
Yeah,
it's really hard reading Leviticus, right? To carry that into your day. But you know what it does? Well, because if you're on the bottom of your plan, yeah, but but it does let you know. I mean, when you hear butcher this, butcher that, sprinkle blood, take the
There's
thousand.
a lot of blood there, yeah.
There's a lot of blood, and you just realize how sinful, you know, they had to take an innocent animal's life, which of course doesn't really atone for your sin, really.
Well, all the time I'm
But
reading
it's
that,
like-
I always think, thank you, Lord, for Jesus.
I
for
know.
dying for
Yes.
us."
You know,
Right,
what could
Joanne.
you do? How many animals would you have to have every day to sacrifice whatever way you sin?
If you were the priest slitting her throat all day
Oh, I
long.
know, and the blood in there. I think the temple must just be a bloody mess.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, it
And
just
it's
has to be.
Well, they sacrificed them outside the actual temple. The altar is outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everything's
temple.
right there, eventually
It's
that ground's
outside.
gonna be so blood soaked, it's gonna be like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I always think, oh, thank you, dear God, for sending Jesus, because there's no way
All of
that
our animals would be
people can keep up with that.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
No way.
But even in Leviticus, I mean, God is there. Even at your prayer time, your worship time. What would it look like? What does that look like? What could it look like to have your time with God be so alive that it carries you into your day, that it carries into your life, that people look at you and they see a difference. I know Danny has commented several times that when she goes to work, if she doesn't have any time with God, she'll have to say to her coworkers, I'm sorry, I did not get my Jesus time today. Because they see it. They see the difference on her, right? What if it's so sweet? What if it's so rich? What if it carries into your day? My sister asked me on the phone the other day, she's like, so what's new? I'm a stay-at-home wife. I watch my grandchildren 5 days a week. I've been teaching Bible study for the last almost 8 years now. There's nothing new in my life. I mean, my daughter's already married, so that one's done.
Praise the Lord.
But, so whenever someone asks me that, like, what I want to say is, my God time was so sweet. I mean, and I'm not lying. I'm not just saying that because I'm your Bible study teacher, you know.
But that's what's
That is
good
what's
in
new
your day,
in my
in your
life.
day,
And so
right.
that's what I ended up saying to her. I'm like, well, you probably, I mean, she's a believer. It's not that she doesn't want to hear this.
right.
But it's hard for most people to understand. But I just said, what's new is, man, I'm having some sweet time with God. I'm in this growing season. We get in seasons, right? Dry seasons, pruning seasons. Well, I'm in a growing season, and I'm just having this sweet communion with Him. And it has involved some surrender to Him. It's involved some stuff that I've had to surrender and give up to Him. And I've done it. And it has just been rich and sweet. And I've carried Him into my day, and I've carried the things that I'm discovering or changing or doing into my day, and I've thought about it throughout the day, and it has just gotten me super excited to where it's alive. Inside of me, it carries me along, it's exhilarating to me, I love how it's changing me on the inside, and so that's just what had to, it welled up, and I had to share that, right? Now, and that doesn't happen every day for me. I mean, it's been happening a lot recently, consistently. But I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't happen every day. But what if it did? What if it did? What if God's word and hanging with Him that time was just that rich, sweet? Wow, let's look at how it could be. Let's look at how it could be Bible study that we did, she's been doing her homework and working ahead in the homework, so she's ready for us to talk about the next week. What is it going to look like? What are the questions? What should we talk about? Where should we go? She's been phenomenal. She's been a great sounding board, and I've been super grateful for her. So she made this, what's the word that I want? She coined this phrase, okay? Yeah. Rhythm of life. We're calling this the rhythm of life. And these verses mostly come out of your homework from this week. I want to read them to you out of my Tanakh, out of my Hebrew English Bible, because some of the translations are super beautiful. But read along with me in yours. So we're going to look at Deuteronomy 4, 9 through 10. We're going to talk about the rhythm of life. Rhythm of life. How can we carry that time with God into our days and into our lives? And I would love for you to walk away tonight having a really good idea of how you're going to do that. What that actually, for real, tangibly looks like. All right? Deuteronomy 4, 9 through 10. But take utmost care and watch yourselves scrupulously, so that you do not forget the things that you saw with your own eyes, and so that they do not fade from your mind as long as you live. And make them known to your children, and to your children's children. The day you stood before the Lord your God at Horeb, when the Lord said to me, gather the people to me, that I may let them hear my words, in order that they may learn to revere me as long as they live on the earth, and may so teach their children. Focus in on take utmost care and watch yourself scrupulously, that you do not forget the things that you saw with your own eyes, and so that they do not fade from your mind as long as you live. Okay, so let's just get this in our heads for a minute. So they saw 10 plagues, right? They saw the Egyptians' animals die and theirs stay alive, right? Mm-hmm. They saw the Egyptian part, all the Egyptians part of Egypt filled with gnats. Well, theirs was not. They saw darkness over everywhere except for in Goshen where they were at. They saw the Red Sea part.
Amazing.
I'm talking like they walked beside walls of water. I mean, come on, guys. Walls of water that didn't cave in, and they crossed on dry land. I mean, it was dry like that, right? And they crossed over. And what do you think when they walked and they saw those walls? What do you think was swimming in there?
Fishes.
Some big fish, man. Can you imagine that? You're walking by and there's
A shark.
ooh, there's a shark, right? I mean, picture
At any
it.
moment the waters could cave in. I mean, you didn't know
Yeah,
that they were going to stay up.
Right? Because you've never seen a miracle like this before,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And then you get over,
Yeah.
and they come in over top of the Egyptians.
Yep.
Right? You're fed by heaven's manna every day. Every day. Quail comes in, feet